The house seemed to be breathing when Eleanor Brooks stepped onto the porch, and that was the first sign that something was wrong. The front door wasn't fully closed. It stood slightly ajar, open just enough to sway back and forth with a faint creak, as if the house recognized her presence but hadn't yet decided whether to trust her. Eleanor tightened her grip on the thin plastic bag she had been handed at release. The cheap material crackled sharply in the quiet. 20 years behind concrete walls. 20 years spent staring at ceilings, counting cracks, memorizing stains. And this moment, this exact crossing of the porch, had kept her alive through all of it. Coming home, taking back the life that had been stripped from her piece by piece. She stopped at the threshold. The air inside was warm, lived in, not abandoned, not stale, not empty the way it should have been. Eleanor nudged the door open with 2 fingers and stepped inside. Her heart slammed so hard it hurt, as if it were bruising itself from the inside out. The living room looked frozen in time. The same faded floral couch, the chipped coffee table, the small ceramic angels lined up on the mantel, exactly where she had dusted them on the morning everything collapsed. Her husband's old armchair still faced the television, a folded blanket resting over one arm. And yet, something felt off. Wrong in a way she couldn't put into words. Before we continue, don't forget to like the video, share it, and subscribe. And I'm genuinely curious. Where are you watching from? Write your country in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Now back to the story. There was the smell of fresh coffee. The radiator hummed with steady heat. Somewhere deeper in the house, a piece of dishware clinked softly, settling as if it had been touched moments ago. Someone was here. A low sound rolled out from the kitchen doorway. Not a bark, not a growl. Something deeper, controlled, measured. Eleanor's breath caught in her chest. A German shepherd stepped into view. He was large, powerful, filling the narrow doorway as if he belonged there. One eye was cloudy and pale, the other sharp and dark, locked onto her with an intensity that made her knees weaken. This wasn't a stray. This was a working dog, or had been once. Discipline was written into his posture. His weight was perfectly balanced, muscles tense but restrained. Around his neck was a thick leather collar, worn smooth by years of use. Hanging from it was a single brass key. The metal was darkened with age, the teeth stained with something Eleanor couldn't quite identify in the dim afternoon light. Rust, she told herself. But the thought didn't sit right. She pressed her palm against the wall to steady herself. Prison had taught her how to read danger quickly, how survival depended on noticing the smallest details. This dog didn't rush her. He didn't make noise. He assessed her. It was the same kind of judgment she remembered from guards. Men trained to decide in seconds whether you were a threat or just another body passing through. "Easy," she whispered, her voice rough and unfamiliar in her own ears. One of the dog's ears twitched. He took a step forward. Then another. One hind leg dragged slightly, an old injury that altered his gait. Slowly, deliberately, he circled her. His nose worked steadily, breathing in her story. Institutional soap, fear, long absence, the weight of 20 stolen years clinging to her skin. Eleanor didn't move. Her hands stayed open at her sides. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but she knew better. When the dog completed the circle, he sat directly in front of her. Then he lifted one massive paw and held it there. Still, intentional, waiting. Eleanor stared down at it, stunned. And in that moment, her heart cracked open with the realization that this house had not been waiting for her empty. Her breathing faltered as she looked at the raised paw. Her mind lagged behind what her eyes were seeing. 20 years of survival instincts screamed trap, danger, unknown threat. But the dog didn't move. He didn't press closer. He simply waited with a patience that felt almost human. Slowly, carefully, Eleanor reached out and touched the rough pads of his paw. The contact sent a sharp shock through her chest, so intense she nearly pulled back. The dog's tail struck the floor once, controlled, restrained, as if he had learned long ago not to waste movement. Footsteps sounded outside. Eleanor flinched as car doors slammed and voices drifted up from the street, close and unfamiliar. Instantly, The dog shifted, placing his body between her and the door. His head lifted, ears forward. A silent wall of muscle and resolve. He wasn't guarding the house. He was guarding her. The front door creaked wider, and a man's voice called in, cautious and confused. "Hello? Is someone here?" The German Shepherd didn't bark. He didn't need to. A deep, measured warning rolled from his chest, just enough to freeze whoever stood outside. Eleanor's knees gave out, and she sank onto the edge of the couch. Tears burned in her eyes as the truth hit her in waves. Someone had lived here, yes, but not in the way she had feared. This dog wasn't an intruder. He was a guardian. The man stepped into view slowly, his hands raised, his eyes darting between Eleanor and the dog. He was middle-aged, worn-looking, dressed in the uniform of a municipal utility worker. "Easy, Rex," he said quietly. "It's all right." The dog didn't move. She's supposed to be here," the man added quickly as understanding dawned on his face. "You must be Eleanor."
I'm Samuel.
"Your neighbor. I've been looking after the house all these years." Eleanor's throat tightened. "The dog," Samuel continued, swallowing. "Your husband found him after you were taken away. Injured. A retired police K9. He couldn't work anymore. Thomas said the dog reminded him of you. Loyal, broken, but still standing." Samuel's voice faltered. "When Thomas passed, Rex refused to leave the house. He wouldn't let anyone sell it. Wouldn't let anyone touch your things." Rex turned his head slightly, his clear eye fixed on Eleanor, as if confirming every word. Samuel reached into his pocket and pulled out a small envelope. "Thomas gave me this," he said. "He told me to give it to you when you came home." Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a short letter, the handwriting painfully familiar. It told her the house was still hers, that she had never been forgotten, that someone would be waiting for her. Eleanor broke. She sobbed openly as Rex crossed the space between them and pressed his heavy head against her chest. She wrapped her arms around his neck, buried her face in his fur, and for the first time since her sentence began, she felt safe. After 20 years of cages and numbers, she was home. Home to a broken dog who had been guarding her life the entire time. This story has touched millions of hearts. Did it touch yours too? Let us know with a like.